Okay. Hello all you beautiful people, it's your girl Asia the MUA back with another video. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you are new here, if this is not your first time here, this is not your first time seeing my face, you already know what time it is. Hey A-lister, how you doing? I know I don't have to like say anything about what's going on right now. We all know what's up. It has been really hard to try to be in the mood to create content because it's been a long couple of weeks. You know, when I'm sitting down to create content, like my mind has to be in a certain space, my mood has to be, you know, in a certain place, the vibe has to be right. And if the vibe isn't right, it shows in the video. And there's really no getting around it. So if I'm just not feeling it, I just don't create. But I was feeling decent today, and I had something I wanted to talk to you guys about because, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Like, so as you guys can tell from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about some 90s sitcoms that are pretty iconic to the African American culture, really. Martin and Fresh Prince are like staples in the black culture. So, two of my favorite shows. I have been watching a lot of black sitcoms because that's been making me feel better to see black people laughing and creating humor and being funny and showing love and all that good stuff has really been helping me keep some level of mental stability. Not always great, not always bad, but it helps me feel good. And that's what I've been watching. I've been watching a lot of Martin, a lot of Fresh Prince. And I just wanted to I don't want to come in here and try to debate which show is better than the other one. That's not why I'm here. I love both of these shows. Both of these shows hold very special places in my heart. So I just wanted to come and talk about some of the similarities and some of the differences and just kind of go over and analyze both of the shows because they are like iconic. So if you guys are interested, just keep watching. So I have a bunch of stuff laid out here. I don't know exactly what I want to do. I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. So let's just see what happens. I am going to start off with this gorgeous palette right here. This is from Royal Blue Artistry. You guys have heard me talk about this brand on this channel several times. Black owned beauty brand. The woman that runs this brand is like a good friend of mine, so I love her products. She's got some amazing stuff coming, and I saw this palette on like her story or something. Somebody else had it, and I decided that I had to have it, so she sent it to me. It is absolutely beautiful. This is called Shimmer Queen. This is gorgeous. I want to start off with this one. I really like this color right here. That's kind of calling my name right now. So I'm just gonna, I already have my eyes primed. I already have my brows done. I'm gonna go in and start blowing this color and like blending it into my crease. I haven't done my makeup in like 3 or 4 weeks. And I feel like, what if this sucks? Since the last episode I watched was Martin, I'm gonna go ahead and start with that show. So, oh, okay, hello mirror. It's got a nice little mirror in here. I'm not gonna turn it around to the camera, but it's a nice mirror in this palette. Really, really nice size mirror. Of course, I'm going in with my BH Cosmetics 101 brush from the 7-piece eye essential set. And I'm just going in and starting to press this color into my crease. And then I'm gonna blow it out toward my eyebrow. Okay, so Martin was a urban African-American sitcom that ran on Fox from 1992 to 1997. It had 5 seasons. It starred comedian Martin Lawrence. His girlfriend Tisha Campbell played Gina. His girlfriend Gina, played by Tisha Campbell. Tisha Campbell's best friend Pam, played by Tashina Arnold. Martin's friends Tommy, played by Thomas Mikael Ford, R.I.P. Tommy. And Cole, played by Carl Anthony Payne III. Was that his name? The second. Carl Anthony Payne II. Fun fact, if you did not know, that is Cockroach from The Cosby Show, Theo's best friend. That's Cole. So the premise of this show, it was set in Detroit. Martin was this loud, abrasive, like obnoxious, over-the-top personality. But the cool thing about him is, even though he was like really loud and really abrasive and sometimes obnoxious, you could tell that he really cared about people deep down. I always felt like Martin was a little edgier than Fresh Prince, because I feel like Martin aired on Fox and Fox was kind of like the underdog. Fresh Prince aired on NBC, and NBC was one of the big 3 giant networks on television at the time. It was NBC, ABC, and CBS. And then there was Fox, and then other channels, you know, that kind of tried to grab a piece of the market from there. So Fox was like a newer network, and it was just a little bit edgier. I always use this analogy when describing these 2 shows. Martin is like Jodeci, and Fresh Prince is like Boyz II Men. Ironically enough, those 2 male singing groups starred on both of those shows respectively. So if that can kind of like paint a clear picture for you, the differences between those 2 shows. Martin started off as a radio host at WZUP. At WZUP. I wonder if Martin's catchphrase was "What's up" because he worked at WZUP, or the other way around. He started working at WZUP and then decided to start saying, "What's up?" Most of the time after I use this BH Cosmetics brush, this Anastasia Beverly Hills brush is coming next, because it just really helps me get tight up into my crease. I talk about this brush on this channel all the time because some people hate it and some people love it. I just happen to be one of the people that love it. I want to go into this next color right here. Oh, it's such a pretty chocolatey brown, and just the way the color story is laid out in this palette is just so easy. It's like boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? I mentioned all of the main characters that starred on Martin, but there were over 400 guest stars that appeared on Martin within those 5 seasons. Like, that's insane. That's pretty much a guest star or 2 every episode. And I don't mean just like random extras. I mean like Clifton Powell, like Garrett Morris, like Miss Pearly from Friday. Like, working actors, you know, cycled through this show, and it just really went to show and illustrate how many people they were employing back in that time. And I think that's huge. That's one of the reasons these shows are so iconic for me. Another thing that I thought that was really dope about Martin was, like, with the exception of Tommy, because nobody ever really knew what he did for a living. I have a theory about that, by the way. I might share with you guys a little later. Aside from Tommy, because we never like got a clear answer about what it was he did for a living, everybody on this show was pretty much gainfully employed. So this was a young, edgy, you know, funny AF show about beautiful young people that are gainfully employed in a metropolitan city like Detroit, and the dynamic of this whole kind of pseudo family that they blended together was just amazingly hilarious. And Martin is like a comedic genius. Like, give props where they do. Gina was an advertising executive. Pam worked with / under Gina. Martin was, you know, a popular radio host in Detroit, from what the show kind of illustrated to the viewers. Cole worked at the airport. Nobody knew what Tommy did, of course. But everybody was like gainfully employed. Everybody had good jobs. Everybody, like, it wasn't no bums on the show. Even Hustle Man, you know, was running around trying to get his coin. Bruh Man, I don't know if you could consider him a bum. He was just kind of touched. I don't know. But even those characters, those are like solid working characters, and they have recurring roles on this show from, like, you know, its birth. So that's really, really dope to me. All right, I'm super excited about this color. This is probably my favorite color in the palette. Just, you know, I haven't swatched these or anything. This is my first time busting into this bad boy. But this is the color that I'm most excited about using. It's just super, super pretty. I'm gonna take this on the same Anastasia Beverly Hills brush. I did dust the brush off, but I didn't feel like getting another brush. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, that's just what oh, that is good. Oh, that's good. Another thing that I always thought was, well, not always, like watching it now, another thing that I find interesting is the dynamic between Martin and Pam. Like, they really went like over the top to make sure you knew they didn't like each other. You know what I mean? And it was like, damn, is it really necessary to hate your girlfriend's best friend, like, to that level so nothing looks suspicious? Like, is that why they wrote it like that? Because if you recall correctly, you remember that episode Martin was having them dreams about Pam, and Bruh Man was like, well, you know, Fraud and them said when you have dreams about something, it's because it's something you secretly desire but you know you can't have. Bruh Man dropped that knowledge. Some of the stuff Martin used to say to Pam was like flat out mean as hell. Like, Pam used to get hers in too. Don't get it twisted. She wasn't no punk. But Martin used to be like so mean to her. Like, why are you so mean to Pam? And that just kind of goes into another like vibe that I catch from the show as an adult. Like, there was also like a clear dynamic between Gina and Pam. You know, it was always like Gina was right here and Pam was just like right under Gina. I understand that Martin is the main character, Gina is the character that supported Martin, and then in turn Pam was kind of the character that supported Gina. But now looking at it, it's just kind of like Martin is this angry black man, right? Because, like, look at what he says and how he acts. He exemplifies some of the attributes of the typecast angry black man. And Gina was the pretty light-skinned girl that was like the only thing that could calm him down in times when he needed to be calmed down. And it kind of set her up as the savior, and then it kind of set Pam up as like her sidekick. And that's just a really interesting dynamic. It's been talked about before, so it's not new, but now I just look at it with a totally different like lens as an adult, as opposed to when I was watching it back in the 90s. Sis, come on with this blend. I still don't know where I'm going with this makeup look. We're just moving along as we go. But it was always made crystal clear, especially like in the workplace settings, that Pam kind of worked under Gina. Not that she was her assistant, but Gina would be the team lead and Pam would be a team member kind of vibe. That's the vibe that I always got. And it kind of carried through the show. Like, Pam could never get a man. You know, Pam had nappy hair, and, you know, Pam's breath was bad, and all these, like, you know, all the things that Martin used to say to Pam. Pam was bad AF, first of all. Her hair was always laid. She was always dressed to kill. And it was just such this adversarial relationship set up between Martin and Pam. And I always thought, like, not always, but now I think that's like super, super interesting to see as an adult. Another thing I noticed was, like, Gina never really, like, got in the middle of Martin and Pam beefing. I guess because they all used to go at it with each other. So it was kind of balanced, but there would be sometimes where Gina would be like, okay, Martin, calm down. Like, when you gotta calm down your dude from snapping on your best friend, like, that's crazy. I'm gonna jump into the Chocolates by Juvia's Place. I really love this color here. This color packs so much more punch than it looks like it does in the pan, and I really feel like it's gonna take me where I'm trying to go with this look, wherever the hell that is, honey. I'm going in with one of my favorite brushes, the J125 from Juvia's Place. I really, really love this brush for my outer corner because it's nice and fluffy, but it's not too fluffy to where it's gonna blow the shadow out more than I want, but it just does a good job. So even though this show was about just all the funny exploits and all the, you know, crap that the characters get into from the beginning of one episode to the next, it wasn't just a show about nothing. It was a show about young urban black people that were gainfully employed, that were working. They were always working to move to the next step in their lives, you know what I mean? And that was important for me to see as a young African-American girl growing up. It was important for me to see that example of these young black people that were gonna, you know, they were the age I was gonna be in a few years, you know. They were at that level that I was aspiring to be at, you know, as a young girl growing up, going to school, wanting to go to college, wanting to have a certain career, wanting to live a certain type of life. It wasn't super flashy, it wasn't super fancy, but it was a good life. Martin is an example of a good life, you know what I mean? So that was super, super important for me. That's why this show is like so iconic and so like deeply rooted in my upbringing and the culture that I, you know, hold near and dear to my heart. One of the coolest things was the progression of Martin and Gina's relationship. Martin and Gina started off just dating, and we got to see that black love, y'all. Oh, that was one of the most special things about this show. It was such a display of black love. Martin and Gina went from dating to shacking up to being engaged to being married, and we got to witness all of that within these 5 seasons. I know y'all remember when Martin lost his job, like Stan had some stuff going on with the radio station, and his life kind of imploded around him. He had just proposed to his girl and he lost his job. Now he's having problems paying his rent, and he thinking about taking her ring back. And then he ran off and joined that weird freaky cult. Y'all remember that? That takes a lot. Like, that was a huge deal. He said, okay, things are out of control for me. I need to step back and take a minute for myself and figure out what's going on with me before I move on to this step in my life that I'm not necessarily ready for. That was huge. Even though it ended up being like a weird freaky cult, and that lady was trying to like molest him in the room with the nails on the bed, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That was huge. And then I feel like that was something that was probably essential for the success of Martin and Gina's relationship. Imagine, you know what happens when you jump into some shit and you're not really ready for it. Martin had to get ready. And I thought that was dope. I thought that was super mature, and I feel like it ended up making Martin and Gina stronger. So I know y'all remember that proposal. The second proposal, not the first proposal. the second proposal where Brian McKnight came to the park and sang. I know y'all remember the wedding when they eloped in Hawaii and Babyface sang at the wedding. How Brian McKnight sing at your engagement and then Babyface sing at your wedding? So the concealer that I prime my eyelids with, I'm taking a little bit more of it and I just kind of want to freshen up my lid. That's a lot. I did not mean to use that much. I just want to blend this into my lid to kind of clean it up because I want to put a really, really light shadow on my lid. I'm reaching for the Nubian by Juvia's Place. I am interested in this color right here. I want to pop this onto my lid. So the same brush that I applied that concealer on my lid with, I'm just gonna gently pack this color on my lid. One of the things about Martin that stood out to me, that always stood out to me, even more so watching it as an adult, Martin, even though Fresh Prince starred literally a rapper, I always felt Martin was like more steeped in the actual hip hop culture. Fresh Prince starred a rapper, but more rappers guest starred on Martin than they did on Fresh Prince. Like Biggie was on, Outkast performed at the Players Ball episode. Diddy and Snoop appeared on Martin to squash the East Coast West Coast beef. There was a lot. Method Man appeared on the show. There was a lot of hip hop ingrained into this show, so I feel like that kind of attributed to Martin being a little more edgier, a little more, I don't want to say street, but yeah, street. Okay, so before before I finish my eyes, I want to share with you guys my theory on Tommy. Nobody ever knew where Tommy worked. Nobody ever knew what Tommy did. And it was probably one of the longest running jokes of the entire show. If you guys recall correctly, towards the last couple of seasons of New York Undercover, Tommy was a detective. So who's to say Tommy wasn't an undercover Metro Detroit detective working on some big ass cases the whole time? That's why nobody ever knew where Tommy worked. Nobody ever knew what Tommy did. By the end of the show, everybody was kind of dispersing. Martin and Gina were moving to LA. Cole was engaged to Shanice. And what did Tommy do? Did Tommy get transferred to New York? Things that make you go, I love that. All right, I'm gonna hop off camera and do my liner because I'm not even about to play myself. And then when I come back and start on my skin, we will talk about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So give me just 1 second. So I got these eyes done. I haven't put my lashes on yet, but I love how my eyes came out. I added some Mo Glitz and Glam glitter to my liner. I used sangria and a little bit of cherry cola because I wanted brown eyeliner today. I didn't want to do black. I wanted to do brown liner. So that's what I did. And then I threw some glitter on that thing. I am prepping my under eye with my mixture of Fast Response Eye Cream and Lightful C Eye Cream by MAC. I'm going to take my Skin Refine Zone and I'm going to prep my skin. I no longer put this all over my face. One of my fellow MAC artists have been telling me that, and it just wasn't resonating with me because I still felt super oily all over, but I'm not super oily all over anymore. I'm not even super oily in my T-zone anymore. So I do the Skin Refine Zone and the T-zone, and then I do a teeny tiny bit of skin prep on my jawline area because I do still want to prime that area as well. I love mixing primers. I feel like the benefits that you get from one, you can get other benefits from another one. I really enjoy mixing my primer. I don't have to explain the premise of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to you because Will Smith literally tells you exactly what the show is about in the opening sequence. weird fun fact. I really love the fact that the opening sequence of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air never changed the entire time the show was on air. And I think Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on air for 6 seasons. There was like major overlap in between these two shows. So I have a special place in my heart, in my life, I guess, for both of these shows. And they're just two of my favorite African American sitcoms of all time. So of course the characters on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air include Will Smith, of course, one of the greatest of all times. I'm convinced that Will Smith is just like a superior human being, and he's probably an alien because he's just literally not aging. Either that or he got the best plastic surgeons in the world on payroll. I don't know. He fine as hell. That's all I know. Of course, I mixed a little bit of my Pro Longwear foundation with my Juvia's Place I Am Magic foundation. I have been using the shade 440. I think it's 440. Yeah, 440 Savannah. I don't know. I was using Punta Cana, and then that just wasn't working for me anymore. So Savannah is it. So of course, Will Smith gets into it with some bully back at home in West Philly. And his mom is scared and moves him to Bel-Air with her sister, Vivian, and Vivian's husband, Philip. First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil, for real. Played by James Avery. Vivian was played by 2 different women at 2 different times. I stand dark-skinned Vivian. Light-skinned Vivian, I ain't got nothing against her, but that episode where dark-skinned Vivian auditioned for that dance, like, that was iconic, okay? The cast also include Carlton, played by Alfonso Ribeiro, Hillary, played by Karen Parsons, Ashley, played by Tatiana Ali. I used to want to be her. Oh my gosh, she was just so gorgeous, and just, I loved her character on the show. Ashley was one of my favorite characters on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I adored Tatiana Ali. Y'all remember when Will was trying to manage her music career when she was a singer? Jeffrey was also a character on the show. Who played Jeffrey? Joseph Marcel played Jeffrey, and then later on, of course, Vivian and Philip had another child, Nikki, and he was played by some little kid. What was his name? I don't remember what his name was. I'll leave it in this. As I stated before, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air premiered on NBC, and NBC was one of those TV giants, and I feel like since Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came a little bit before Martin, it kind of set the tone and made a way for other, you know, more urban sitcoms to be put on the air. Not saying, you know, if there were no Fresh Prince, there would be no Martin, but if there were no Sanford and Son, there would be no Fresh Prince. So I feel like at that time, we were seeing steady progression of seeing black people on television in, you know, ways that were not derogatory and demeaning to us. This was like a golden era of television for me. So many of my favorite shows came on in the 90s, and these are just 2 of the most memorable ones for me. I'm using a little bit of the Juvia's Place I Am Magic setting powder in Kalahari to set this foundation, a very, very small amount. I used to load powder onto my face, and I just don't really feel like I need to do that anymore. I do still, you know, do what I gotta do for my under eye, but as far as like my skin goes, I don't have to pile a ton of powder on my skin to get my makeup set anymore. Of course, there were recurring characters. Of course, DJ Jazzy Jeff. Vivian's sisters were some of my favorites. Jennifer Lewis was one of Vivian's sisters, and y'all know Jennifer Lewis is just off the chain in whatever she's in. I also liked Will's mom. I liked the sister Janice too. I liked all of Vivian's sisters. Later on down the line, Will Smith got engaged to Lisa, who was played by Nia Long. Tyra Banks played Jackie, who was a recurring character on the show. Tons of guest stars, just like Martin, like tons of guest stars. Lark Voorhees Fun fact, Lark Voorhees guest starred on Martin and on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Queen Latifah guest starred on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Vivica Fox guest starred on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Jasmine Guy, Kadeem Hardison came through. D.L. Hughley. Tons and tons of celebrity guest stars on both of these shows. I thought that was super dope and really showed the level of community that we had within these black sitcoms. One of the things that was most interesting to me about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was how it was kind of based on socioeconomic status. The whole premise of the first part of the show was Will didn't fit in because he was from the hood. They, you know, uprooted him and transplanted him into Bel-Air, California, and he didn't fit in because he was from, you know, a different side of town or a different background. So I thought the whole premise of the show was really like putting that class difference in our faces in a way that we probably didn't even recognize it because they disguised it and made it so funny. But the first episode of the show was Will Smith messing up a party that Phil was having because, you know, Will was being Will. Will was from West Philly. I ain't never been to West Philly, but I heard it's rough. I'm using my Pro Longwear Concealer in NC45 and NC42. I like to do highlighting with NC45 and then, no. I like to do highlighting with NC42 and then go in with NC45 to kind of conceal and just blend everything out really well. If you really think about it, Martin was to Pam as Will was to Carlton. Those were the two kind of antagonistic forces on both of those shows. Those were the adversarial relationships. Will used to always crack on Carlton because Carlton was, I guess, what you could consider corny, but that's something that has become more and more interesting to me as well. Carlton was considered corny because he didn't like some of the same things that Will liked because Carlton and Will came from different places. So that was something that kind of showed me how Will kind of crack on the dude that's not hood enough or that acts white or likes white stuff and really dog them and make them feel like it's something wrong with them when there should really be a place for all of us and whatever we like. Oh baby, trust me, Carlton found out how black he was when him and Will got pulled over in Philip's partner's car in that nice neighborhood. He figured out how black he was then. And that was an episode that really showed me, you know, no matter who you are or where you come from, if you're black, you're a target. Which kind of leads me into another point that I thought was really interesting about Fresh Prince. Even though Martin was a little bit edgier and a little more street and a little more hip hop, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dealt with really serious issues on several occasions. When Will and Carlton got pulled over, Uncle Phil had to come and rescue them and set those cops in that little hick area straight. So they dealt with police harassment. They dealt with crime and gun violence. Their home was robbed one time. The mansion in Bel-Air was robbed one time. Martin got robbed too. I just watched that episode a couple of days ago. They discussed teenage pregnancy. I mentioned Lark Voorhees being a guest star on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air before. That was the episode where she told Carlton she had his baby. They talked about sex. That was the episode that Will and Carlton talked about who had got some and who hadn't. And they dealt with gun violence. They dealt with absentee fathers. They dealt with drugs. They dealt with these really, really serious issues in a way that you didn't even realize you were being schooled on a serious issue because you were laughing your ass off because the show was so funny. I thought that was really, really dope that they dealt with stuff like that. And very early on in the show too, that episode that Will and Carlton got pulled over, that was early in the lifespan of the show. So I thought that was amazing. They dealt with health issues. Uncle Phil had a heart attack because of his weight, or that's what I assumed it was. I assume that was definitely a contributing factor. So they dealt with a lot of issues that were not only important to everybody, but that were important in the African American community. And this was on primetime major network TV in the 90s. That's history. I also love how affluent the Banks family was. Like, you know, Vi didn't just send Will out there with any old body. She sent them to Bel-Air with Uncle Phil and Aunt Vivian. Aunt Vivian was a college professor. You know, Uncle Phil got into politics. He was a LA court judge. So the family was very affluent, and it was probably one of those situations where it was a good thing for Will to get out of West Philly. Who knows? What blush got to do with it? What blush? Y'all remember that episode where Aunt Viv was Tina Turner for Halloween, and they went to the mall and she ended up singing in the little mall recorded studio kiosk? I just love this show. I think I'm gonna go in with Serafina by Juvia's Place. Another thing that was always super epic to me that I always look forward to with Fresh Prince was the holiday episodes. They really went all out for their holiday episodes, and those were always some of my favorite episodes. The one where Fresh Prince and Carlton was looking for a date for the Christmas party, and it ended up being like Cinderella, and it was just one of my favorites. Another thing that was really special to me about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was the relationship and dynamic between Will and Ashley. It always reminded me of how I am with some of my older boy cousins. You could really tell from like the first season that Will and Ashley were very close and their bond was really special. Ashley was more like a little sister to Will than, you know, his little cousin. And I thought that was super, super dope because that reminded me a lot of how I grew up with my older boy cousins. That looks so cute. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled everything together. I lined my lips with this Ruby Kisses lip liner. Oh, this is actually an eyeliner, apparently. I don't know the name of it because the name of the liners is on the plastic that the liner is wrapped in instead of on the actual liner. I'm gonna go in with this Royal Blue Artistry lipstick. This one is called Latte. This is one of my favorites. So creamy. So I got this lip gloss from Untitled Luxury Lashes last time I filmed, and I have been dying to use this lip gloss. It smells like bubblegum. It is absolutely gorgeous. One thing that I really appreciate about both of these shows, neither one of these shows was unceremoniously cast off of television. Both of these shows had a good 5 to 6 year run. Both of these shows had farewell episodes. You know, they weren't just like, okay, show's over, we not coming back, because a lot of black sitcoms get done like that. And it's really cool that Martin and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air did not get the short end of the stick like that, because it went like that a lot. It felt like to me when both of those shows ended, it was all of those characters moving on to the next phases of their lives. So it was sad to see them go, but at the same time, you know, you were proud of those characters. You were proud of those people for getting to where, you know, you saw them trying to get for all those years. Neither one of these shows was without their controversy and their scandals in those years that they were on the air. Of course, the last couple of seasons of Martin, like after Martin and Gina got married, their chemistry was just like so weird, because one of the most charming things about Martin was the chemistry between Martin and Gina, because it was so on point. Like you really felt like you were watching a real couple. Like these people could be your homies. You felt a part of this group of friends. And after they got married, shit just got so weird. And I know there was like a lawsuit involved. Like Martin was like coming on to Gina, or Martin was coming on to Tisha Campbell. And like I think at the time she was married to Dwayne Martin, and he didn't like it was a whole thing. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a whole situation. That's why in the last episode of Martin, in the last few episodes of Martin, you do not see them in scenes together. So they had that going on. And of course, everybody knows like Aunt Viv switched like in the middle of the lifespan of the show, which was so weird. Well guys, this is the finished look. Let me know what you guys think of this video. I had a wonderful time filming this video. Like I said all throughout the video, these are two of my favorite Black sitcoms of all time. So this was an absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoyed the look. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are doing well. Just remember, take care of yourselves. Be kind to people. And hold people accountable for their crap. I know it's exhausting, but something has got to change. Some of the things that I'm doing, if you guys have not noticed, I am really putting my money into Black-owned beauty brands. Not only Black-owned beauty brands, but beauty brands owned by Black women. Women that look like me. And I think keeping our dollars in our community is one of the things that is going to help move us forward with some progression. Also, get your ass out there and vote. I don't mean vote Donald Trump out of the presidency. I mean get out and vote for your local officials. Those are the people that make the laws in the cities that you live in. Those are the people that decide the fates of the people that go to court. Go vote. I can't stress how important that is. And I just want to leave you guys with that. Until next time, stay beautiful.